Maseches Bava Metzia Yutes Amud Beis. We are in the fifth line from the bottom of the page of Yutes Amud Beis. About to finish at the end of the week. The line starts with the word Basra Kama Zochi. Line starts with Basra Kama Zochi. And we're in the two dots, Ton Rabbanon. Tafesh Ton Rabbanon. This shows L'Refuas. Norman Crow, Lel Bastam, Shmuel Avon Ben Yudis, Yudis Basrif, Kapnina Chai Bas Gul Rochel, Ruben Yaakov Ben Golda, Esther Gabriela Batzor, Chana Batzim Tamon, Tas Non Gel Zismu. In Bar Bas Yoel, Tzviel Ben Denis, Shalom Yosef Ben Hinda, Yaakov Fa Ben Soro, Leilo Nishmas of Imoyri Menachem Ben Akiva. Right, Tonu Rabbanon. No, we did not start the new Mishnah. Tonu Rabbanon. Says the Mishnah, 5 lines from the bottom of the page. Motzo shoivar. A persona found a shovar. Shovar is a receipt. The shovar, the receipt we're talking about over here, is a shovar that a woman gave her husband to prove that as a proof of payment. He paid her a ketubah. I would assume that it's after the divorce, right? And she kept the ketubah, which she could, especially if you're Rabbi Yochanan, we saw before. And instead, she gave him a shovar. She gave him a receipt. I accepted. Payment received. You pay him a ketubah. I hate you so much. Thank you for the ketubah. And the shovar is that. So now somebody found such a shovar in the street. Bizman shaisha moido. Let's say the woman admits that really she wrote that shovar, which is obviously for the benefit of the husband or the ex-husband. So we think now. Now we think that they're divorced, yeah? And we say that the Isha admits and says, yes, my ex-husband paid me ketubah very nicely, and you give him the shover, yachzir labal, give it back to the husband. Like, why not? You know, she says it belongs to him. He says it belongs to me, meaning I have the proof of payment that I paid my ex-wife. Givaldi, en Isha moido. But if the woman says, no, he did not pay me, this guy still owes me money, don't give him the receipt. There will be a gun in his hands against me. He didn't pay me, don't give him back the receipt, the shoival. Don't give it to any of them. Just keep it by you. Don't give it to anybody. So far, so good. You may ask, what's the chiddush? But it's the same question. The Gemara is asking now is question very similar in style to the questions that we've seen before, at least 3 times before we saw. Says the Gemara, Bizman shaisha moido, mihas, at the end of the day, after all, if the woman admits and says, yes, my ex-hubby is the one who should have the shover because he paid me, then good. Oh, soon we're going to reveal this story. What do we say? Yachzir labal. Yeah, give it back to the husband. Frag the Gemara, it's not so simple. Sometimes a couple is still married, yeah, and the woman gave the shtar to the husband, the shover. In other words, although they're not divorced yet, or maybe they'll never get divorced, sometimes the husband gives his wife the ketubah in the middle of the marriage. In the middle of the marriage, she's strapped for cash. He gives her the ketubah now. It's not so common, and we spoke about it before, but it could happen. She made him 15 beautiful, unbelievable blinches every day. Whoa, what a terrific wife she became for all months. And what? And never invited.
I can't. Akiva, I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. So if you can please mute your microphone, thank you very much. I like hearing your voice. If you have a question, it's good, but okay.
Yeah.
For now, please mute your microphone. Thank you. Thank you so much. Shkoyach. Let us be concerned as follows. Dilma, maybe, Kosva Liten Benisan, maybe the woman wrote the shoiva, the receipt in Nisan, that's 6 months ago. Let's say now it's Tishrei. She wrote it in Nisan, and she wrote, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, I accepted the ketubah from my husband. I received the payment from my husband already. Now, they are still married. They are married, happily or not, they're married. Maybe in Tishrei, you know what happened? She gave him the receipt on Tishrei. And according to what we're going to see later on, and according to most Rishonim, if not all, and that was a big discussion here, she never got her ketubah. You know what she's doing here? She's moichel her ketubah. he is the one who did her blinches, and he's the one who always washed the dishes, and he's the one who never left his dirty socks. He's such a nice husband. She was moichel the ksuba. If somebody owes me money, there are two ways to be moichel the money. Either I write I am moichel, or I give you a receipt paid. Such an elegant, nice way to do it. Debt paid, nice big red letters, debt paid, even though it wasn't paid. So maybe, basically, could be that she wrote a shoivar in Nisan, that 6 months of terrific marriage, yeah, and then in Tishrei got so good, yeah, he cooked the entire Rosh Hashanah. And then what? And then she gave him a receipt without receiving the ksuba, which we call mechila. She wants Hashem to be meichel her, so she's meichel husband. Mechila, not forgiveness. Mechila is dropping the debt, dropping the charges, and he doesn't have to give her any ksuba anymore. That sometimes happens. You may ask why, what, where. You know, I don't recommend you come home and ask your wives to be meichel ksuba. Saying, but it could happen. A woman would be meichel ksuba. The Oslo, so far so good. So far, what do you want from anyone's life? So what? Maybe she wrote it in Nisan, gave it on Tishrei, but we already begin to smell trouble. The M word, mukdam, right? When the date written and the date given are not the same, there's a trap. Where's the trap over here? Listen to what the lady did. The Oslos bantel ksuba betoivas hano in Nisan at Tishrei. Whopa. That lady, and we discussed that in previous sugyas, sometimes the lady may sell a different person, a complete stranger. She may sell her ksuba, the right of her ksuba, to a person, just like you sell insurance or you sell debts, or you sell stuff like that, which means, or you sell a lottery ticket, meaning, maybe she went at any point between Nisan and Tishrei. You want to give me a month between Nisan and Tishrei? August. Yeah, in the month of Av, she went and she actually sold her ksuba. Her ksuba is $1 million. And she says, listen, listen, Mr. So-and-so, I need cash now. I'm strapped for cash. So my ksuba is $1 million. How much would you pay? How much cash would you pay me now? Well, 2 out of 3 chances are I'm going to get the ksuba. If we get divorced and I'm a nice girl, there's no real charges, I'm not a zoiner or something, then I'm getting a ksuba. If he dies before me, then what? I'll get the ksuba. If I die before him, then I don't get the ksuba. Of course, you can. If I would be the buyer, I would check very well into the shalom bayis. I would check very well to his health and her health. At the end of the day, yeah, maybe there are people who can assess it. Evaluators. How do you call them? Assessors. Yeah, like for the insurance and stuff like that. I'm sure you can tell us a lot of actuaries. Right. Yeah. So then, but Lamaisa, if her ksuba is $1 million, she would sell it for 600,000 or $500,000. Don't catch me in the number, okay? But Gadol, there are chances. I'm giving him a ksuba now. I'm giving you the star ksuba, and if we get divorced or if he dies before me and the kids have to pay instead of me, they'll be paying you lottery ticket. Yeah, in other words, maybe there's a chance I'll get the ksuba. Oh, so listen to this. Maybe she sold the ksuba to those happy clients. They paid $500,000, let's say, in order to potentially get the $1 million ksuba. And you get the trap? Look what she's doing. Now she wrote the shoivar, which means she was already paid, whether she was or wasn't. Yeah. The false pretenses is that she was paid in Nisan, right? She really only got her ksuba, or should have gotten the ksuba in Tishrei. You tell me. Wait a second. Hey, stop it, Rabbi Tachtal. Tishrei comes, and now the husband wants to give her ksuba, or she moichel the ksuba. The ksuba is not hers anymore. If the husband wants to give her ksuba in Tishrei, scenario number 1, he shouldn't give it to her, should give it to them. They're the clients. They bought the ksuba. They became instead of her, right? They're now the ones who bought it. Now comes Tishrei, and that lady probably, Mechavrus not trying to get into the psychology of this woman, she probably regrets selling the ksuba. Now she loves her husband more. And now, what does she do? Now, mapiklai leshoiver diksiv benisan, the husband who's now accosted by the Lukucha saying, hey, we are owed the ksuba. You want to give her the ksuba? Sometimes, by the way, a husband may give the ksuba in the middle of the marriage. Give us the ksuba. The husband comes and, look at that, rub it out of the head, takes out the shoiver that shows that the ksuba was already paid Nisan before they came into the story. You guys bought it when? In Av? I think I know the Hebrew month. In Av Tafshin Pei Beis, already that ksuba was done deal, was already given to her. She sold you, thank you very much. upcoming ksuba, future ksuba. The ksuba wasn't hers anymore. Yeah, the shtar ksuba was already gone in the garbage, and I'm the one who have the. Thank you very, very much. I'm the one who has what the shover to prove that the whole business she did with you was, as we say, nice French, Luftgeschäft. It was garnished, right? Because Lamaisa, everything was done and paid, whichever mechila or given, any of them. The ksuba wasn't hers anymore. Yeah, can you sell me your I don't know no your subscription for the swimming pool from 20 years ago? No, it expired long ago. In nice one English word, the ksuba has expired. Did it really? No, no, it's a lie. It's an absolute lie. Why? Because Lamaisa, with the very last line of Yutes Amud Beis last line, because really the ksuba was only done with either by giving or mechila in Tishrei. There are the legal owners of the ksuba, which wasn't yet given. There are the owners of the lottery that did not yet take place, meaning the ksuba of Tishrei. But the star shows differently. The star, yeah, glitzing in the corner there, is saying Nissan. So why shouldn't we be concerned about that? And again, usually we wouldn't be concerned of such things, but because the shover fell, anything that fell and was neglected in the street and you found it like in the garbage kind of place, that is suspected to be something fishy over here. So why are you so quick to run and give it to Mr. Husband? Maybe he will snatch the carpets from under the feet of the Lekuchas who did legally buy the ksuba rights, and he will lie that he already was nimchal or given or whatever. The ksuba is over and done with before they came into the scene. As the Gemara says much better than me, the very last line, but also he'll come lemitra flukucha shaloi kedin. Now the big liar, by the way, is her. He's gaining from the lie, and I guess she loves him very much, or maybe she'll take half with him. Rashi says, Lamaisa, the husband will keep into the land. Instead of giving, let's say there's a land that's miyuchat for a ksuba, there's a land that she always knew should be given to her as a ksuba potentially. That land, instead of going to the lekuchas, who are now the owners of the ksuba, the husband will hold on to it and say, no, it's my land because, no, you came into the scene, my foolish wife, she sold it to you after already, that's it. He wasn't it potentially. The lottery already took place half a year ago. That's what it's going to say. Why aren't you concerned about it? That's a question. Why aren't you concerned? Then maybe what I just said. Maybe the husband will show an early shoiver, which was written earlier than actually being given, and was written before the deal with the Lekuchas was done. He'll come to the Lekuchas and say, I'm sorry, Lekuchas. You came into the story 2 months after we're completely divorced, or Nimchal, or no ksuba anymore. It's like you buy a lottery ticket now for a lottery that took place 2 months ago. Good luck to you. That's exactly what's happening here. He is lying. He's lying, of course. He and she are lying against the Lekuchas. Yeah. Why? Because really, I'll with you. Because really, no. Really, only in Tishrei, after the Lekuchas bought, he's still supposed to give her the ksuba / give them the ksuba. Yeah. Because really, they bought it before the shover was given and before there was mechila or nisina. Yes, Baruch. He was actually. Yeah, Baruch. Mm-hmm. My question is, if I was the lakuach, I would go to the woman and scream at her, why did you sell me something? Your husband just told me that what you sold me was nothing, garnished or garnished, so pay me back, right? Let's assume there's no achrayas. Not every sale is with achrayas. Mufursh in the Gemara Daf Yudalid. Sometimes people take risks when it comes to shopping for a house. They really like that karka that the lady is offering them, and therefore it could be that they sold it without achrayas and a chinami. And therefore, then she is laughing all the way to the bank with the husband. That's a simple answer, and it's been mentioned beforehand. We mentioned that in one of the other questions. Yes, clear. Okay, you guys make me explain things better. The piece of land we're talking about is a piece of land belonging to the husband since he was 10 years old. I don't know. And this land is meyuchad, is specifically designated to pay her ksuba if and when, right? When she sells the ksuba, practically what it means that if things go well for the customers and they get divorced, Baruch Hashem, or he died first, Baruch Hashem, then for the Lekuchas, they'll get the piece of land. And that's what they're expecting. But now the husband and wife are playing tricks against the Lekuchos, and then the husband says, no, the land will stay with me, because the whole sale was nothing, because the ksuba was done and over before you even came to the picture, he said, lying through his teeth. And she will say the same. Yeah, you and continue. Yes, Jeff, you're the last one for this session. I'm sorry if I say about loving it. You don't like it, I'm sorry. I'm bringing emotions to the story. Sorry. No, he gave her the ketubah in the middle of marriage. He gave her the land without getting divorced or dying. Avada. You do it to somebody you hate, you give $1 million field. I wouldn't. Or the other script is she is a nice one. She's moichelim. It doesn't for us. It actually doesn't matter. The word is the ones being lied to is the lakuchos, the netzach shash. Between us and guys, less meshane what happens. Soon we'll see it develops. But lemaisa, all you have to know now is that the one is staying high and dry with the tongue sticking out, with the leg, a tail between the legs, are the lakuchos, because they're lied to. There's no way to prove because the star shows, the shover shows as if it was all over and done before they came to the picture. I didn't know that. You're the very last. I'm sorry, yeah. But it's not so common actually. Gemara discusses in ketubas, usually we're not concerned that a husband paid part of the ketubah before the end of the marriage. Actually, that's what this Gemara is a bit surprising to me. But you have to say that this husband did. Maybe once the star fell, we can imagine anything possible. You are the very last for this round. Yes. I want to stress one more thing here. All your questions make me say more. You should realize, basically, this woman, a little bit like the Shchivmara story, by writing a shoiver, a receipt to her husband, is her way to annul the sale to the Lekuchot, right? Unjustifiably. Annul. What do you mean annul? To show Ki'ilu it never happened. So why aren't you concerned about it? Omar Ove Shmami, no, here we're going to drop the bomb, although we've seen it before. Says Ove, Chaf Amud Aleph, Shmami, no. From the fact that you see that that's, well, not a concern, Isa Shmuel, we must say, from the mere fact that we're not concerned about that ugly story happening, must be Shmuel is right. Which Shmuel? Domer Shmuel. And that's a famous line, who. Everyone's going to ask questions now. A person sold the shtar chov lechaveroi. Somebody owes me money. Somebody owes me 3,000 shekels, okay? And it's in a shtar, and he didn't yet pay. I don't have koch to deal with him, and I need cash now. I'm selling it to Yosef. Yosef, how much would you pay? 3,000 shekel a shtar. And yeah, 1,000, only one. 1,500, please. 1,000, please. I need the money. Yom Tov is coming. Okay, 1,000 seder. Yosef is giving me 1,000 cash, and Yosef gets the shtar. It says that Shlumiel ben Tzuri Shodai owes, instead of Akiva, he owes 3,000. Now, instead of me, stands my client who bought the check from me or who bought the shtar from me. And now you'll go knock on his door, Shlumiel, and you deal with him. And I have 1,000 shekels. You know what I did later? Now Yosef is going to be very angry with me. The Chazar umecholoi. I went to Shlumiel, who was still somehow my borrower, and I say, Shlumiel, oh, Rosh Hashanah is coming. Mechila. I mochel you the shtar. You don't have to pay it. I'm even writing to you. Mochel. So who's losing now? Yosef. Yosef paid 1,000. And now Amam is pulling the rug under Yosef's feet, the customer. Mochel. Why? It does work. Shh. I'm reading your minds now. I'm a mind reader. It's a telepathy show. You're asking two questions, really. First of all, how is that a just thing to do? What kind of lie? And Shmuel says it's right to do that. Shmuel's a Jewish rabbi. Yeah. Secondly, how does it work technically? Without leave morals out of the story. If I sold the shtar to Yosef, then Yosef is now the owner of the chov, not me. How can I go call Shlumiel, the borrower, and say it's all forgiven, and therefore Yosef cannot, right? Technically and morally, how does that happen? So, right, these are questions. So now I'm connecting again to the Ritzvah. Say the Rishonim two things. How does it happen technically? That's question number one. I'll tell you how it happens technically. It happens like this. Says the Ritzvah, when a person, when a person owes money to me, Shlumiel owes Akiva 3,000 shekels. Listen to this. There are two levels, Shibud Guf and Shibud of the Nechosim. His body, don't get the word wrong, his body, he has, not body, it's not a good word to say in English, his self, his meshubad, he's subjugated, and he is mortgaged to me. He has a chiyuv gavra, to pay me. But who could buy crook? With a land, with money, with goods, with a hat, with a shmet, whatever you want. And if, now he's not going to become my slave, of course. So instead of him or his cash, which he doesn't have, what's going to be? Instead of that, You'll pay me with the land. Nechosav shel odom arevim lo. His lands are his guarantors. So now, although I sold Yosef the debt, say the Ritva and Rabbeinu Tam and others, the personal chiyuv, who lent him the money? Who forked out 3,000 of his pocket? Me. And therefore the choiv can never be fully sold to the other party. The chov, when I sold you the shtar, it means the lands may be yours. If he owes you money, then the land will be instead of him to pay you. However, if lemaisa I always kept, even after selling the chov to Yosef, the shtar chov, the body of the chov itself, the inner core of the chov of him as a person owing stayed mine, and I was moichel it. I was moichel. Imagine yourself like a two-layer cake. The basic layer is him. Shlumiel, the Baal Chov, always owes me. The nechasim, no questions, no. And his lands, the lands of Shlumiel, the pieces of land, there is nechasim, are the guarantors of his. And therefore, I can say the personal chayv I give up, I give in, I'm moichel, I regret, I'm good. And Shlumiel doesn't owe me money. Mimela, the lands that are meshubah to Yosef are also snatched. Because if you break the first floor, the second floor also comes tumbling under. How is it moral to do that? The answer is, well, is that a shidduch for my daughter, this guy? No. The guy would behave like I'm behaving in this story. Yeah, not shidduch for my daughter. Not only it's not a shidduch for my daughter, it's called, back to Bava Kama. Who remembers the G word? How many levels of grama? And this is worse than grama. That's God. Who's grama's? Garmi. I'm surrounded by elite scholars. Seriously. Very nice. Which means Garmi is in the level of how direct the Nezek is. Garmi is the middle of the road. And according to some Tanoim, Amoraim, and Rishonim, Dan did the Garmi. And that person would have to pay. Yosef, if I do that dirty trick on you, to work, it works. It works. Lamaisa, because the shibud was never sold completely. It's not moral. Enochinami, take me to Beis Din, yeah, and he'll demand how much? 1,000. You demand what you paid. In other words, I'll have to give you back the money that you paid, because if you hold Garmi is direct enough to be dealt with, which it is, therefore I'll have to pay you. What does that have to do with us? Very good. Says Rova, that woman, by giving her husband the shtar in Tishrei, right? That does show that she was moichel him b'ksuba. It's nothing to do with a lie. What did this lady do? It's true that she's playing games regarding the dates, but at the end of the day, if she gave him the shtar mechila, which means the receipt in Tishrei, that does show that this lady gave up the choiv to her husband. Let's now have a new cast on the show. It's not Yosef and me, it's Reuven and Rachel. Yeah? Reuven is married to Rachel. His entire life, as long as they're married, Reuven is a Baal Choiv to Rachel, right? Every married couple, the husband is like a loive from his wife, even though he never borrowed, he owes her money, potentially the ksuba. And the lady sold the shtar choiv, selling a ksuba. Ksubas are nice, fancy, stylistic. They learn about university and museums. You see it hanging. A ksuba is just the shtar choiv. That's what it is. Most of it. It's just an IOU a shtar glorified with more stuff. Lamaisa, she went, and the shtar that the husband owes her, she sold to somebody else. Exactly like Shmuel's case. And then in Tishrei, she was Michael. The fact that she's playing games, again, not a nice woman, but she has the right to do that. The etzem, she has the right to do that, so we're not concerned about it. That's one way of understanding. Another way is we want to bring into the room our good friend from Mexico, Mr. Migo. He's our Migo. And what is that? Many Rishonim explain like this, that this guy and girl, this man and woman, she can say, listen to me, you're telling me that maybe I'm lying in this? No. If I wanted to, I could actually be Michael, my husband, Ksuba, right this second. Again, what's the scenario? Somebody found a shover in Tachana Merkazit. I found a shover in Tachana Merkazit. He's a smart guy. Instead of calling the husband and the wife, who does he call? Kav HaHalocha, the Beis Din. He calls her of Kornfeld's Beis Din, or of Kopshitz, he calls the Dayonim. The Dayonim say, stroking their beards, don't give it to him or her so quickly. Maybe she played the dirty trick. Comes the woman to Beis Din and the man, and the woman says, Kvod Dayonim Nichbadim. If I wanted to, right now, this second, although even if I did sell it already 6 months ago, Nagid, let's say, if I wanted to, at this jiffy, in 1 second, I can be my husband now. So believe me, I did it 6 months ago. That's one form of migo. Other Rishonim disagree, stories, Ritva, Rabbeinu Chananel, but the kitzur, the woman has the right to be moichel, the shtar chov that she sold to somebody else. Is she a nice woman? No. She didn't inform them? No. Yeah, no shidduch for my son. Anyhow, she's married. But lemaisa, this can be done. And afuch, that's a proof that Shmuel is right. And such mechanism can be the evid work. Nobody says he's a nice guy and he should pay. Pay, not just not nice. He has to pay. But lemaisa, the mechila is the mechila. Even the yoresh, even the heir, even the one who inherited the money can be moichel. What does that mean? Let's say after 120 years I die, Be'ezus Hashem, yeah, one day, and I'm not immortal, and the guy owes me 3,000 shekels still, yeah. So now my son, and I sold it to Yosef before I died. My son can still be moichel also the shtar. Same thing, but it also applies to the son of the holder of the shtar. In any event, that proves that Shmuel is right. That's what Rava wants to say. Abaye argues on Rava. Obviously, says Abaye, afilu tema leisela de Shmuel. Rava, I'm not saying Shmuel is wrong, but you can't prove Shmuel to be right from this brisa, from the fact that we give back the shover to the husband, not being concerned. You can't prove Shmuel. Shmuel is wrong, but he's not necessarily right. Why? I can make an ukimta, and that ukimta would not be like Shmuel. What's the story over here? The shishtar ksuba yoytzi mitachas yada, not such a hard ukimta. You know when the brisa says you can give the shover to the husband, when the woman shows you in Bezdin, here's my ksuba, nicely framed, golden letters, all kinds of kitschy stuff in the corner. She has what? A ksuba in her hands. What does that show? That she didn't sell it. You're concerned maybe the woman sold it. Well, here it is. If the woman shows us the original ksuba and basically know how to recognize a good ksuba or not, therefore that shows she never sold it. So simple. So you can't prove Shmuel is right. Could be enechinami to do mechila is wrong, and could be the concern of the whole complicated story before is a concern. Would have been a concern, but if she shows a ksuba, she says, "No, I did not sell it not to lakuach and not to shmakuach. Here it is. Had I sold it to the lakuach, it would have been in his hands, the ksuba, right?" Rava argues with Abaye and says, no, that's not a solution. If you think shtar ksuba is a proof that you never sold it, wow. How many ksubas does the woman have? Well, usually one. Not, first of all, it's not true b'chlal. Nowadays in Israel, England, I don't know about other countries, you're open to share your experiences, but I know that in Israel, automatically, if a couple gets married in Rabbanut and probably Badatz also, they get married how? With one ksuba, and there's one copy saved by the Rabbanut, because in case the ksuba gets lost, and the couple have to say it nicely, live together as a couple, so you can't live with your wife like husband and wife with a ksuba ayol. Therefore, there's a copy in the Rabbanut. What happened to a couple who lost the ksuba? Which happens? They lost the ksuba, they quickly write a new one, frantically so. And then next Pesach, surprisingly, they found that they're 3 years old, stuck it with a dolly, somewhere. Now she has two ksubas, and apparently it's not a big halachic problem. It's a copy of the same thing. Says Rava, you're telling me a woman comes to Bezdin, old baby, and says, "You Bezdin, you think that I sold Meksuba and I'm playing games against the koch? Here's Meksuba." Says Rava, tough lady. Maybe that's the other copy. You kept a copy to yourself. One copy of Ksuba you sold the Lekuchois, and they have it as a proof. One copy you X-ray, not X-ray. You copied it for yourself, which could happen. Therefore, that's not a proof. So Chad Gadya. Therefore, so why aren't we concerned that she sold it? One ksuba is not good enough. You know why not? Because of Shmuel. Because Shmuel basically endorses such a situation. And Chinami, not a nice woman, but if she sold the lekuchas and then showed mechila, or Miga could have shown, it works. By the way, one more thing to make everybody happy and show how Judaism is so nice and moral. There is a way out, Yosef. If you're a smart guy and you're scared that Akiva is playing games and I'm selling you a star, and maybe I'll be moichel the star and pull the rug from under your feet, it's a mechloikes rishonim. Mechloikes, some rishonim say, can make me take a shvua. I'm not that bad, Shavua, I wouldn't be nishbal sheker, and therefore I should take a Shavua in front of you based in Edim, black candles and an open Sefer Torah, that I will never be Moichel the Chov. Okay? So there is a security. There is a security. You didn't do it, tough. Okay, again, not that the guy's a nice guy, he's Garmi. Otherwise, it can be done. But the it can be done. Now, Abaye back to Abaye, and that's the end of the sugya. And that's Abaye's. Soon Abaye will come with his punchline. Abaye Omar, I have two things to tell you, Rova, says Abaye. Chada, first of all, give me a break. We're not choshish to two ksubas. In other words, two ksubas in the hands of the woman, not the rabbanus. In the hands of the woman, usually there's one ksuba. To say that there are two ksubas is usually not a concern, which means if a woman comes to Beis Din and shows you the ksuba, which looks, feels, and smells real, and I'm joking, yeah? If it's a real ksuba, to say, which proves that she did not sell it, and you're going already Arain and Arain, choshish, that this is another copy, that's far I'm not choshish, says Rova. That's Abaye, says Abaye. Yeah, I'm not choshish take subas. And therefore, if she presents one, and we assume the one and only suba to Beis Din, we highly assume that she did not sell it, and to go that wide, that far, maybe I stop there, says Abaye. The oid, and here's Abaye's punchline, and that would be a beautiful conclusion for the entire sugya from Daf Yud Beis. Shoiver bismanoi torif. What's our concern? You guys should answer. What's our concern here? Mukdam, early, predated. We get nervous. It's like you bring a chazir to my kitchen. Yeah. In other words, mukdam is always bad news. Yeah. Why? She wrote in Nisan, did all the dealings with the lukuchas dealing, presented in Tishrei, and lies. That was ready from Nisan and nothing. According to who? Mukdam is almost never concerned. According to Abaye from Daf Yud Beis Amud Aleph or Yud Beis, Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. Shoiver bismanei torif. Yeah, says Abaye, she is absolutely right. If she wrote the shoiver in Nisan 6 months ago, when does the shoiver kick in? When is the shoiver activated? When do you turn on the light in the shoiver? When it's written or when it's given? Nisan, according to Abaye, that's Abaye's prize line through the entire sugya many times. Abaye following his own reason. The Omar Edo b'chasum of Zochin loy. That's Abaye's great moment. The entire sugya. Abaye says that if I write a star that's for your benefit, I write a star for the benefit of Yaakov. Yeah, Yaakov, such a beautiful Olech Hadash. Yeah, and I write a star, either shoiver, matono, good, something good, and what matono in the stories. And Yaakov is absolutely unaware of that, or choiv that I owe you money, right? And I write it in the secrecy of my machsan without Yaakov knowing. But it's written; it's not so secret because there are two Eidim signing on it, and it's kosher star. From that moment, no. Oh, if I give it to Yaakov 3 months later, the matono shoiver shibud, retroactively from the time of the signature and writing, actually the signature. From then it starts being activated. And therefore, our story, says Abaye, is not a problem at all. The woman is a good woman. I mean, at the end of the day, the woman is not lying at all. She wrote the shoiver when in Tishben Nisan, 6 months ago. When she presents it to her husband in Nisan, you know when it kicks in. Whoop! It's called retroactive. In Hebrew, it's called lemafrea. It works lemafrea, retrospectively. Already from Nisan, it's true. It's true the husband and wife are saying, they're not lying. It's true. All the wheeling and dealing of the lukuchas in all the months in between, Tammuz, Av, Elul, was really false. Because once she gives it to the husband, retrospectively speaking, really, there was mechila from the time of writing and signing. Because according to Abaye, the shining moment, the pivotal moment, is by when it was written and signed. According to Abaye, there's kimat never chash of shtar mukdam, unless you mameshlai and you predate. Remember, I keep telling you all the time, I don't like the English word predating, because it's not always predating. Shtar mukdam has two forms. Either predating sheker gomel, like I write today. Today is the Chaf Elul, I think, Yutes Elul, and I sit with you guys and we all lie together for some, hoax, and we write today is Rosh Chodesh Adar. That's for sure also Lefi Abaye. Yeah, because the Humamish signing from the time of signature, the Shibud starts and you're making false pretenses. But If I write a star in Rosh Chodesh Adar, whichever star, and I give it too late, 6 months later, says the Abai, great, no problem. Because really, from the time of signing, that's when it really kicks in. So whoever carries this star showing I'm already a balabas before you, he's absolutely right. Smimela says Abai, no problem. And don't share this whole concern with you. Therefore, the Bryce, according to me, Abai, is absolutely fabulous. That's what Abai says. We're up to the next Mishnah. And we're not yet in North Korea, Baruch Hashem. Questions and then Mishnah. And Baruch is pointing out, Shmuel and Abai are similar, but definitely not the same at all. Shmuel does not talk, Shmuel doesn't believe in Abai. Abai, as far as I know, is, so to speak, a lone wolf. I never saw anybody agreeing with Abai. Yeah, not Shmuel. Actually, Shmuel himself, if you remember, we had it in Daf Yud Beis. You're onto something good. In Daf Yud Beis, we says, in Daf Yud Gimel, Shmuel Isover Abaye. We wanted to say maybe Shmuel thinks like Abaye, but maybe not. We suggested maybe Shmuel is like Abaye, but not necessarily so. Which means Shmuel does not have to agree to the fact that when you sign something, right, the moment of signature is the significant one. Not necessarily. Yeah, that's what Abaye says. So according to Abaye, you can play similar act to Shmuel by writing and giving it later, and then retroactively everything falls apart. Shmuel works differently. Shmuel says no. You can actually, without being retroactive, in Nisan I wrote a star, and it only works by Shitrei Choiv. That's also different. But Shmuel only by Choiv. Somebody owes me money already for 3 years, right? And I write Yosef a star now in Elul. Yosef, you're the owner of that debt of the star. Later in Kislev, in 4 months' time from now or so, I'll be Moichel the Choiv, not retroactively, from Kislev onwards. And from that point onwards, Yosef will not be the owner. The whole thing is falling apart, not retroactively, but from now on. So it's different. Although there is similarity, but it's not the same. Okay? Okay. And then the Mishnah, we are entering a certain country. Yeah. Go ahead. We don't pass on the Kabbalah here. Sorry to say. No. Like Rover, Abasi, many others who argued. Yes. Says the Eilige Mishnah. Motza, here comes the last Mishnah of the Perek. Motza igros shum. A person found in the street igros shum. Igros shum is not a very nice thing. Igros shum means it's a letter from Beis Din to who? To Mr. Lender, who's doesn't have patience anymore. His patience already expired, and now it's been 90 days after he already took him to Beis Din, and the loiva is playing games. And now after the adrachta, the next stage is the star that says the malve found a piece of land, mortgage meshubad to him, to the malve, to the lender, and now the lender is allowed to sit there. That's it, and it's a done deal. That lender can sit there for his entire life. We said before, maybe he can switch it. That's a different discussion. But Lamaisa, the Igros Shum is a star that's by Beis Din. Only Beis Din can write such a star. It's not a star you can give from one person to the other. And obviously the loiva would not cooperate. Yeah, it's a Beis Din writing to the mother. We hereby empower you to be the owner of the apartment that was mortgaged to you because the guy didn't pay for too long. The Igros Mozon. Igros Mozon are the Igros that a husband gives his wife. He doesn't have to, but potentially could give his wife alternatively upon getting married. And she comes after second marriage. She has girls from a previous marriage, and he is committing himself to sustain them, the girls who are not his. That's nice of him, and that's called Igros Mozon. That's written to the wife. Shitrei Chalitza, mi'uni Shitrei Chalitza. A lady, I don't have to explain what's Yibum. Yeah, this is Parsha. So, yeah, the brother-in-law and the brother of the deceased young guy who died without children. And what does he do? They opt, today it's almost the only option. He doesn't marry the widow. Other than that, she takes off his shoe, right? She spits on the ground in front of him. And now she can marry whoever she wants. Before the Chalitza, she could not marry. Not as bad as Eshes Ish, but it's called Yevama Lashuk, is not allowed. Once they did the Chalitza, taking off the shoe, then she is completely exempt, so to speak, from any connection to the brothers. Now she can marry whoever she wants. Who says it was chalitza? She gets a shtar. She gets a shtar like an ishur. How is it? Confirmation. It's called in English. Confirmation from Beis Din that she's chalutza and she can go and marry whichever nice guy she wants. Umiunin. Miunin. What's miun? Miun is as follows: a girl who is a ketana, who is under bas mitzvah or under a two-hair stage. So then her father died. If her father died, then nobody midoraisa can accept her kiddushin. Nobody can kill marry her off. Only her mother and her brothers midorabanon can marry her off. Yeah, only if she wants to. And now let's say that girl was below bas mitzvah, was married off by her mother and brothers to somebody, and guess what? She doesn't like him because he's 40 years old. Yeah, not she can't play games with him. He can. Yeah, and then what? Can't play. How do you call it? Hopscotch. The guy's too old. So then what does she do? She can say in front of 3 people, "I don't like the guy. I don't want the guy," and the marriage is annulled. Very, very easy way to annul the marriage. Miun. She goes in front of people, any people, not even dayanim. She goes to the makolet, finds 3 people, and she says, "I don't want to be married to this guy." Done. Marriage is over. Yes. Yivamis. Before Bulgaria. Once Bulgaria, she can't do it anymore, as far as I remember, and that's right. So now you have to write a shtar. That girl in Maisa had history of marriage, so you have to write a shtar in Beis Din after that, saying that little girl has been through miun and she's free to marry wherever she wants. She can't marry again before bas mitzvah, by the way, only once. You only have one shot. And after that, after her bas mitzvah, she'll be able to get married again. The shitrei berurin. Shitrei berurin, the Gemara is going to explain what that means. Says Rashi, the kol Maisa Beis Din, any Maisa Beis Din. The lines shitre berurin to find out, and Maisa Beis Din, the Gemara will explain what that comes to include. All those items a person may give back to who? To the one who assumes is the recipient. Let's say the malve is the one supposed to be holding onto the shtar of the shum, the igros shum. He's the one who holds the land. Why do you give it to him? Maybe. All the time, no maybes. Once Beis Din sign a shtar, they only sign it and approve it with a stempel, and we've seen that many times already in the sugya, only if it's a done deal, which means, let's say a shtar choiv even. A shtar choiv, which was by Beis Din, we know is not a shtar that the person thought of giving and never gave. Beis Din only signed on the shtar if it was actually activated, used, actualized, and therefore there's no chashash. Maybe there's mechila. All these things have no mechila. Even shitrei shum, igros shum, there's no point of, that's it, it's a done deal. The guy sits in the land already. It's the end of the game. There's no returning anymore, right? Matzah bechafisa or bedluskema. Matzah bechafisa, dluskema, the Gemara is going to explain what those mean. These are 2 types of how do you call them? Like a pencil case, like a case. Let's say you found the shtar in a nice case, not thrown in the street like a piece of garbage. You found it somewhere where, like in Besmedrash, a place more mechubad, and it's a nice shtar, nicely, placed in a taché case. Thank you. Hafiz adluskama or tachrich shel shtaros. That's also tachrich is like a few shtaros together. The Gemara is going to explain. Yeah, tachrich is like krach. A few shtaros, a few documents all bound together. Oy aguda shel shtaros, or a few shtaros also bound together. The Gemara will explain what's the difference between aguda and tachrich, but the Gemara will explain it anyways. The kitzer, all those shtaros are placed and are styled in a nice way. They're not found thrown in the street. You should give it back to who? To the malve. Give it to the malve. I went crazy when I read it, and my chavrusa said that my question was asked. We found out by many rishonim and achronim. You just give it back to the malve? Really? Hey, what happened to what we've been learning for the past 2 weeks? Yeah, let's go back to the very beginning of the sugya. I want to remind you what we did in Dafid Beis Amud Beis at the beginning of Bereshis Bara Elokim. Let's say you find the shtar, right? And the shtar says, Reuben owes Shimon money. Reuben says, yes. And Shimon, of course, says, yes. You don't give it back. Why? Maybe it's early, mukdam, right? Maybe he wrote then, and he gave it then. Or according to Abaye, which doesn't care about that, maybe there's knunya, right? Because it fell. Shtar that fell smells bad. So maybe Reuben and Shimon are playing games against the Lakuchos, right? Because the shtar, they can play games as if it wasn't paid. Well, really it was. Take the land from those poor customers, which have no idea to protect themselves in that way. because the star proves as if nothing was given yet, and then they'll split the money and left all the way to the bank and to Gehenna afterwards. So Lemaisa here, we just give it back. There are about 4 terutzim about it. There are 4 different answers. I'll give you 2. Answer number 1, you try to answer, you can only ask no questions on the middle of the thing unless no. Yefeh. And the winner is Rabbi Reams, and that is a nachas note, yeah. Okay. Although it's derech chinuach, we know. By the way, yes, but I want to elaborate on that. Although there's a siman, but siman doesn't help. Even if I know that it belongs to the malveh, we should still be concerned of all kinds of funny things. Answers I don't remember who answers what because there are a lot of Rishonim here. One answer is as follows: when you found a star, why is a star that fell such a problem? Because the person knows he's not honest. He has a star knunya, a star mukdam, all these ugly, shady staras. He's not so careful with it. He knows he has something illegal and Rosh Hashanah is coming. So maybe he threw it in the garbage or it fell into the garbage. But if you see the star so nicely placed in a case, in such a nice sachet, then we say that person didn't just kind of throw it or lost it out of guilt feelings. It's still a good star. We assume it's a good star. Like any normal star is assumed to be good. That's answer number 1. Then came my answer, which was Baruch Shem Mechaven to no, it was my answer. My answer was nobody said my answer. Then came another answer, and that is as follows. This is also a very Lomdish answer. Listen to Lomdish, and then we have to run forward. When is it that we say we're suspicious and we have to call Beis Din? I don't know who lost it, the Malveh or the Loive or the Ruach HaKodesh. I don't know who lost it, yeah? I don't know who. I call Beis Din. We start investigating, and then once we investigate, and Beis Din Paskin, if Beis Din would Paskin give it to the Malveh, it's as if Beis Din are endorsing a star that's potentially bad. In this case, it's clear that it belongs to the Malveh. As Baruch said, the Malveh has a siman. The Malveh, I call the Malveh, in half a second, it gives me a super duper siman. It's in a case with a little dot over there and the letter XYFM in small letters in the corner. Of course it's his. If it's for sure belongs to the Malveh, I don't have to get Beis Din involved. If Beis Din are not involved, I'm just continuing. It's as if he never left his house of the Malveh. And then we're not Beis Din endorsing a question. Yeah? Even if it is questionable, I'm just keeping it in his hands. It's killing, nothing happened. That's Begadol. Weiter. The Kama at 10:25. I'm sorry. No, yeah. The Kama Aguda Shel Shtoros. What's called an Aguda of Shtoros? Shloisha Kshurin Zebazeh. Aguda is always 3. Gimel. Gimel is Aguda. Why? Whenever we have 3, like the hyssop of the red heifer. Yeah, how's it called? Yeah, you take the 3 stalks, yeah, and it's 3. It says Aguda, it's 3. Also in Mitzrayim, yeah, over the door. So also, whenever you have 3 together, that shows that those stores are connected, as we're going to see in the next part. Let's say you see 3 stores, and the common denominator between them is what's Echad Aloy v'Mishloisha. We see that all 3 stores say, I, Shlomiel ben Tzur borrowed from Reuven. I, Shlomiel ben Tzur borrowed from the bank. I, Shlomiel ben Tzur borrowed from who? From Sprinza Bela. The common denominator is the loive, the borrower. Yachzir loive. Then you give it to the loive, because obviously, yeah, chances are that the loive is the one who lost it. Otherwise, it would be, very, very coincidental. Shloisha lovin min echad. But if you see, I, Shlomiel borrowed from Reuven. I, Sprinza Bela borrowed from Reuven. I, the bank borrowed from Reuven. Give it to Reuven, the malve. Yachzir la malve. That's quite obvious, and the Gemara will discuss it. Next, Motzu shtar ben shtaroisov. A person found a star in his own place, in his own machsan, in his own study room. He found a star, and he doesn't know the essence of this star. Explains Rashi, I know that the star is not mine, but I don't know. The star says Reuven owes Shimon money. Both Reuven and Shimon are good friends of mine. And I remember that it was given to me by either Reuven or Shimon. Oh, I don't remember who. That's a huge difference. Malve wasn't yet paid, or Loive, and he was paid or never given. So then what do? So in case of doubt, do without. Keep the star by you until Elijah the prophet comes, until Eliyahu comes. You keep the star by you and just freeze, don't do anything. Why? We're going to see it in the Gemara. And also, let's say there's no way of finding out. There's no way of finding out, and therefore you don't give back until obviously either Leonovi comes or before that, unless there's a proof. Yeah, let's say one of them brings Aidin that he gave it to my house. That would be good. Yeah, but if that doesn't happen, just stays by you. Im yeshimon symphonios, yasim besimphonios. What's a symphon? It's not a symphony. Symphon actually is something bad. Symphonios are a blemish in the person's body, or in this case, a symphon is a receipt. A receipt is still a blemish for it breaks the choiv. Yeah, just like somebody has a broken arm can't function. A symphon is another name for a receipt, which is contra, so to speak, fights against the choiv. Let's say a person finds like this. You can read Rashi here. Let's say a person sees that there's a star written. I'm going to the last Rashi of the Mishnah, yeah? And he sees a shoiver written over the star. That's very confusing. It says the star, Reuven owes Shimon, and a shoiver also that Reuven paid Shimon. What do I make of it? Says Rashi, assume that the symphon was given. Assume that the shoiver is the winning party. Assume that the shoiver is good and was paid. Says Rashi, the star is assumed to be paid back because there is a symphon, there is a shoiver next to it, means he was paid. Wait, if the shoiver was really paid, the debt was paid, how come the receipt is not in the hands of the loiver? How come it's not in the hands of the borrower? That's what it should be. Amrinan will say, who say no. The loiva wrote it after the milva was paid, and we assume the milva was paid. And here I do have inclination it was paid. Ella, why is the shoiver not in the hands of the loiva? The loiva wrote the shoiver and never gave it to the malva, and he forgot it by me. I'm the middleman. I'm the escrow guy. Yeah, and I know that Reuben and Shimon versus Levi, both stars are by me. Yeah, the boxing ring is in my house. One star against the other. The winning team is the loiva. Otherwise, why would a shoiver be written? A person will not be quick to write a shoiver unless it was really paid. Therefore, we assume that the malva is right. I mean, I don't know what's right here. I mean, we assume that milva was paid. Actually, it's good for the loiva. And the loiva wrote the star. It just didn't have enough time to give it yet. Please continue the Gemara. Tomorrow, the next stuff is very big and already advertised. We're starting next week, I think. My shiur berurin, I promised you, the Gemara will say, ishtar of what's berur? Finding out, inquiry. What does it mean? There are two explanations. Shiur tainta means a star, as that's what you call in English a stenographer, which means, yeah, when people are in Beis Din, halacha says all the tainas should be written, as opposed to the stenographer which writes every time you cough in Beis Din. The real Beis Din, they write the main tainas of the Balei Din, and they tell them at some point, is this what you claim? Yes. So you shouldn't change your mind 10 times over. This is not the Israeli Knesset, the Beis Din. At some point, you have to come with a solid, consolidated, clear taina. You say, this is what I say. And that's the shtar taina. You find the shtar taina in the street, you give it back to Beis Din. And we don't say, maybe something else happened after that. No, nothing else happened after that. Because Beis Din is not a circus and not a Knesset. And therefore, the Beis Din, they really are, if they wrote the shtar taina official, we say, that's the shtar taina. And upon that, the Dayanim will have the discussion tomorrow. Rabbi Yomi says similar but not the same. What's called zabla, which means, as we know, sometimes not. I mean, many cases in Dinei Mominus, yeah. Let's say Reuven has a claim against Shimon. Reuven chooses one dayan to be his dayan in the. How do you say herkev in English? In the herkev in the group of the Dayanim. That's thank you. In the group of the Yonim, I like my Rav. Oh, he's subjective. Okay, you, Mr. Shimon, you get your Rav. And the third one is a neutral one. It's a mechloekes. If the Yonim choose him, or other people choose him, lo mishane. But lamaisa, yeah, let's say that's written in a star. Otherwise, I'm going to change my mind. You know, let's say I want A guy goes to Beis Din, he wants Rav Charish to be his dayan in Beis Din, but tomorrow he decides Rav Kornfeld, and the day after Rav Goen. I don't know. Can't change your mind. You have to write down. I decided he'll be my dayan. You decided he'll be your dayan, and the third one is an objective one in the middle, and that has to be written also. It's a done deal. If you find such a thing in the street, give it to Beis Din, and don't think, no, baby. Beis Din decided, they decided, and that's it. Once Beis Din has something official from their offices, we know that's it, and you give it back. Okay. Tomorrow, Metzia Hashem, Metzia Hashem will continue, and we'll start tomorrow's Thursday. I hope to start Elam Metzias on Sunday. If not, we'll start on Monday. Tell all your friends and family, the male members of your friends and family, that we're starting Elam Metzias. A lot of fathers of young children. Elam Metzias is the parak. Traditionally, children all over the Jewish world start Elam Metzias. It's usually the first more children learn. So if you have fathers of children in Kita Dalet or Hey, if you know them, and they can sometimes themselves struggle with Elam Metzias and they want to teach their children, they're welcome to the shiur. And but just Sunday morning, just mark your seats to make sure nobody takes your seat. I'm being very optimistic. Okay, thank you very much. Atzlocha Rabba. Mishmar tomorrow night. Everybody comes to the Mishmar. And
Greatest food.
Absolutely. Something for nothing.